Now, when we look at the strict bar muscle up, there's a couple of reasons why I can't get over the top here. One of them we can fix straight away. So let's try the easy fix first, and then I'll show you how to train that transition, fill any gaps in your strength. But first, the easy method. Now you see this bar, it's slippery as anything. If we just stick some tape over this, so this is the normal sports tape, the physio tape. So now with way more friction, let's see if I can get that strict muscle up without slipping off the bar. So for me, that was enough between not getting it and getting it by just putting that tape on the bar. Now that little hack works really well if you're super close to the movement. If you can't tape up the bar, you could cover your wrists and palms in chalk, and that can really help as well. But we also need to be realistic that most people are missing the gap in that transition. So from the top of the chin up when you get close to the bar or the rings, and then going over to the bottom of the dip. So we can be in a strong false grip, we can pull to here, but then when we try and go round the bar like that, we just don't have the conditioning through that range of motion. We can get to this point and push out of the dip nice and easily, and we can get the chest to the bar, but doing the transition from this bottom position through to this bit is foreign and tricky to condition for most people. Now we can do repetitions of that. Now this works really good to understand the movement, to work any mobility gaps, and just to hit loads and loads of easier repetitions. We can do slow eccentrics, so trying to go round through the transition as slow as possible. But another great exercise that's rarely used is this Russian dip. So I'm going to go deep into the bottom of a standard dip, but then I'm going to take elbows back to the bottom of the dip and push back out again. Now if we look what happens with the elbow there, I go down to this position and back up again. Exactly what needs to happen in that transition, top of the chin up, bottom of the dip. Watch the elbow and see how it's identical here. And it allows me to train the concentric and the eccentric, so the up and the down. Now if you're new to the movement, I'd recommend you just do a few with a very light toe assist first. So hold onto the bar, go down into the bottom of your dip. Now the bottom of the dip needs to be very, very deep. We don't want to be doing it here because I'm going to fall backwards. I want to get super deep, so I'm mimicking the chest touching the bar in that strict bar muscle up. And now when I go backwards and take the elbows towards the bar, watch I'm keeping all my weight in my hands still, hardly any weight in those elbows, come back and then back up again. If I drop back and do it that way, I'm sending energy in that direction, then that direction. I want to try and keep the energy and the control in the hands, because that's what I'm going to be pushing down on the bar or the ring. Now once you've done a few toe assists, you can have a go at an eccentric of the full movement. So I'm going to go all the way down, see if I can go back. You might not be able to get back up again. Now if you can't get back up, we could just work the slow eccentric and then partial range for the concentric. Now for the partial range, you just need to stick something onto the bars. You can put something across this way, but you just have to play with what you've got. I'm going to use this yoga block. I'm only going to put it on one side, but if you're going to do it for repetitions, obviously make sure you've got something on each side. And I actually like that that's a little bit dodgy because I don't want to put any weight into it. It's just a target to touch and then come back up again. So exactly the same, bottom of the dip, nice and deep, go backwards, touch the block, come back, back up. And then obviously I just start to make this smaller and smaller. I can also move it backwards, that increases the range of motion as well. Now I've got 2 or 3 options in terms of bars. I have to be a little bit creative because of the low ceiling in the garage. You can put a barbell on a squat rack, but you'll just have to work around the setup that you have. Those small P-bars, those yellow ones, are really useful at home. But now I can do exactly the same thing from that top support position, come down through the eccentric, elbows to there, come back up again. So I'm going through that same range of motion. I'm trying to bring the elbows down roughly in line with the bar and then back up again. And once I can do that, I can just try and go a little bit deeper with the elbows and come back again. And then the other thing you need to think about when you're tracing the pathway of the muscle up is that you need to trace the pathway that you need to use. So if you're on these lower bars, like those yellow ones, and this bar, I'm going to have to go into more of a front lever muscle up, where my legs and my hips are going to go that way. So when I trace the pathway, I need to try and mimic that. So the full movement is going to look more like a front lever and up. But if I have the luxury of a higher bar, it's going to be more of a chin up, a traditional chin up pathway through the transition and up. Now a couple of other things that can make this muscle up easier, or just the transition easier, is the hand placement. If I have my hands closer together, it's easier to pull higher. If I have it wider apart, it's harder to get so low down with the hands. So you can try it by just doing a standard chin up or standard pull up. If you have your hands nice and close together, it's easier to get the chest to the bar compared to a wider position. So for a bar muscle up, I'll tend to go quite close with the hand, just have enough space for my chest or my sternum to hit the bar, but I'll probably be around here for me. And obviously that'll be slightly different person to person because of limb length, flexibility and strength in terms of how high you're pulling. And then also the grip on the bar. Now this is down to what you've trained or what you find most comfortable. So I prefer this type of false grip position, but I've done most of my training on rings. So I basically mimic that ring position. So exactly the same false grip that I have on the ring, I have on the bar. And that's what feels most comfortable for me because that's where I've done my reps and my sets. Some people prefer to train more of a non-false grip or even a standard pull-up position, but that tends to need an extra high pull, so you have to be quite explosive with your pull-up or have really good range of motion. So again, it's down to personal preference, but just make sure that you've got a good strong grip of the bar or the ring, and you'll make sure that chest is coming high enough to hit the bar or past the bar. You can even practice holds in that position at the top. So I'm going into that false grip position, my hand's still on top of the bar, my chest is against the bar, and then I'm going to hold in that position for time. Now you can see this is hard, but it's good conditioning because that's the point where you need to start the transition and start to go around the bar. Let me know what your setup is like down in the comments. Do you have these P bars, that wobbly pull-up bar, or something similar? If you're after programs or coaching, check out my app and website. Link is down in the description, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.